November 28th. Welcome. Grab a coffee like this one and let's talk about what we want society to be and what it takes to get there from all of us. Since today is Thanksgiving in the USA, I want to talk about the Pilgrims. Really, I want to talk about freedom, but I think there's something important to learn by looking at the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims were English settlers, of course, who not traveled to North America on the ship Mayflower and established the Plymouth colony in Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1620. Before coming to the New World, they had lived for several years in exile in Holland, where they had fled to evade religious persecution. They were what was called back then Brownists, or separatists. They had many of the same Calvinist religious beliefs as Puritans, but unlike Puritans, who wanted to purify established churches, the Pilgrims maintained that their congregations should split from the English state church, do their own thing. If you had asked a pilgrim about their motivation to start anew far, far away, they talked about something we would recognize today as religious freedom. They wanted to go to a place that, in their understanding, had no established rules yet, to evade the barriers their old home and even their exile maintained around them. Sounds reasonable, right? But there's a flaw in this definition of freedom, as the absence of barriers. More than one flaw, really. And I will get to the other flaws in later videos. Sticking with the Pilgrims today, the flaw in them defining freedom as the absence of barriers is that they will only recognize barriers outside of them and never their own lack of judgment. In the language of a mind that self-generates its model of a world, a model that needs to be aligned with the models of others to enable cooperation by the implementation of a shared replacement dataset during the world generation processes by all cooperators, their problem was that everyone else in the corporation wasn't ready to replace all data going into their world generations with that which they used. And they didn't have a means to force everyone else to do just that. That was their problem. Their biggest problem, really, was that they couldn't force anyone else. So they sought out a new place where they set up a new corporation in which they had the power to force their dataset on anyone else. It was about power. An act that again created unfreedom, shown perfectly in the acceptance of cattle slavery, which started not much later, born out of the idea that any barrier put on property would cut into the freedom of the owner. In the end, the mind is a tool that the body created so that the body can interact with energies and discover its surroundings in the way that suits that body, not any other body, whose freedom is not and cannot be seeing the dataset you use to create your model of the world reflected from everyone else in your surroundings. Because they don't have your body. Freedom is a cooperation that enables every cooperator to do just that, to go out, discover their surroundings, and interact with energies of their choosing for themselves in a sustained fashion despite the necessary barriers and need to align our individual models to enable cooperation puts up. Freedom is an acknowledgement that much of our dataset that goes into our world generation fits only one person in this exact makeup, and that is us. Freedom is acknowledging that the high-payer functioning corporations produce is produced exactly because the replacement dataset that aligns everyone's thinking is kept as small as possible, and the diversity in the models of the world that result out of a very small replacement dataset and a huge part that each one of us decides about themselves leads us to the most diverse information that combined in diverse ways leads to novelty. New solutions for an ever-changing surroundings. Freedom is sharing to enable each other to do that. An infinitive number of ways. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll be happy to welcome you again later on. For now, bye. Have a happy Thanksgiving.